International Migrant Day 2024 is observed every single year on December 18th. Interestingly, we have another December 18th here to celebrate and to recognize the importance, the contributions, the rights of migrants. Well, it is observed every year on December 18th to raise awareness about the rights and challenges faced by migrants worldwide. Established by the United Nations, the day aims to advocate for improved migration regulations to better support individuals compelled to migrate, either by necessity or by choice. The observance also encourages global activism to protect the dignity and rights of migrants. Now, the theme for this year's International Migrant Day is honoring the contributions of migrants and respecting their rights, as highlighted by the World Health Organization. Good morning and welcome to This Morning on ITV. Right here in our Lagos studio, I am Anu Stevens, and joining me to observe today's celebration is Comrade Osita Osemene. He is the Executive Director, Patriotic Citizens Initiative, and he joins me live in the studio this morning. A pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And should I say Happy International Migrant Day?
Oh, great.
So tell
Thank
me.
you.
Tell me about your personal experience, because interestingly, I got to know that you also, at some point or the other in your life,
Once upon a time.
you were desperate to leave Nigeria. So how was it like?
Yeah. It happened some years back, and that was actually what gave me the, well, I call it the inspiration, to be doing what I'm doing now. And I don't regret it. Once upon a time, I was very hungry and desperate to leave this country in search of greener pasture, which happened, but it happened in a very, very wrong way. I call it wrong because I took the wrong path. I traveled through the Sahara Desert, ended up in Libya, couldn't cross the Mediterranean Sea, returned back to Nigeria after some terrible and horrible experience along the Trans-Sahara route. A near-death experience, saw a lot of people who had issues. When I mean issues, terrible issues, Nigerian youths, both the young girls that were trafficked, young boys that were smuggled, all in the name of seeking for greener pasture. But thank God today I was able to return back, taking that decision, and after some level of rehabilitation, self-realization, and reorientation, I came to realization that, I have to be in my country. Then I have to really settle down and become what I. So today, like you said, I own an organization. I run a lot of support initiatives, people who want to be like me then, and the people who have returned back and people who are stranded both in Europe and in this. So I provide a lot of support for them now, both in terms of livelihood support, capacity building, to see how they can, become what they want to be. Then if they really want to travel, like I said, and we preach now, migration is good, it's a right. And if you must travel, do it the right way. Yeah.
Oh my God. The good part of migration. I would love to ask you another personal question. What was your motivation to leave for a new country? Because I know there are several reasons why a lot of persons want to leave their own country to go to the destination country. But as at that point in your life, why did you want to leave Nigeria?
Yeah, immediately I finished my university education. It was tug of war. It was hot. It was tough. And I needed a job at all costs, knowing fully well how in this part of the world, a lot of expectations from families, younger ones, people around you. They want to see you work, they want to see you provide, and all these things. And it was not forthcoming. The opportunities for jobs were not there. And the option next and business environment was very hostile. There was no support for. And the next opportunity and idea that came is, why not go to it is easier to make it in Europe than to make it in Nigeria. And that's prompted very, very desperate. When I mean desperate, I was very desperate. And initially, there was no option of going through the Sahara Desert. That was the last option. And I didn't know it was going to be through Sahara Desert. I actually obtained, to leave this country. I was at the airport, only for me to find out that the visa was, well, that is the story of the past.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so,
Okay,
yeah. like you said, what prompted me was lack of opportunities and job employment then, though it taught me a lesson. So that was why I wanted to leave. Yeah.
Okay, great. And thank God we have you back here in Nigeria doing amazingly
Yes.
well for yourself. Let's talk
Yes.
about the history of migration. How did we get here? And what was that major reason that made the UN to pick December 18th to be, highlighted as International Migrant Day?
Yes, migration, like I mentioned, is something that has been existing for a very long time. It's part of life. It's part of history. It's part of creation. It's something that has been happening. And also, the UN have found out that migrants have contributed a lot to development in a lot of countries. And whether we like it or not, migrants, irrespective of their status, as far as I'm concerned, are very useful at all levels. I was discussing with somebody and I said, America today was built and developed by migrants, and that is why they are very strong. Canada, the same thing. So migrants deserve to be celebrated. And I think that was one of the reasons that the UN came up, fixed a day like this, and said it would be very, very nice for us to celebrate migrants. And look at, most migrants are being neglected in different countries where they are, and they are doing a lot of work, contributing to the development, contributing to the system management, contributing to the security, doing a lot of contribution. And that's why they took today it should be a day to honor migrants and also respect their rights, because most migrants, their rights are being violated. And I believe that is being drawn from the angle of those whose status are being questioned. Those also have a right. Those who, yes, countries claim that they are not regular, but because they are not regular, they should not be treated well. All migrants well. And like in our program that we do under the voluntary return program, there is respect. We call it, we return migrants, we return them with dignity in a very human way, and some countries are actually doing a lot to ensure that most people who are rejected asylum, that were supposed to be migrants in their country, are returned back to their country in a way that they will be well respected. So I think it's a very great celebration, and is highly commendable.
So speaking of honoring migrants, I feel like it brings us now to the theme of this year's International Migrant Day 2024, which is honoring the contributions of migrants and respecting their rights. So the first time I saw this theme, I got shocked. Migrants have rights?
Yes.
What are those rights, please?
Yeah, migrants have a lot of rights. Right to live, right to do business, and right to establish. Even in Africa, under the ECOWAS protocol, there's what we call ECOWAS Free Movement Protocol in the West African region. And these protocols provide every person from West Africa I can go into Ghana now for 90 days free. You can go into any country within the region, and you have, as long as you have your document. And what is the document? We have our ECOWAS passport. We have our traveling certificate. We have our passport. Once you move into that country, you have these rights, right? Right to do business and right to live. So these are the rights. So when you look at these rights are like human rights, where nobody should violate these rights. And it's expected that every country respects these rights for migrants. So that is it.
So what happens when the rights is being violated?
Yeah, when the rights are violated, then you have broken the international protocols, under the protection of human rights of every migrant. and it goes a long way to 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 change the narrative and also the image of the country. So, and that is why also we are looking at it using today's celebration to create awareness. You know, most countries, all the countries in the world now are celebrating migrants with December 18 with this team, and the awareness is letting them know, even bringing up the consciousness. There are a lot of people who are even migrant that don't know that they are supposed to be celebrated, you know, because of their contribution, and also that they have rights. You know, as a migrant, once you know that you have rights and you are meant to be celebrated, you begin to see yourself, you know, as a human being, because migrants are human beings. A lot of people discriminate them because they feel they are not from that country, and you know, so these are kind of a call. I don't want to call it a call to action, but a wake up, you know, awareness creation for both migrants and countries to know that migrants are very important.
So during the course of the conversation, you kept on highlighting the fact that migrants contribute, they're important persons in the country, especially in their destination nation. What are those contributions that you can actually, you know, pinpoint to say, yes, this is what migrants do and this is what they do not do?
Yes, look at, especially, let me talk about Nigerians that I know. I don't want to mention other people. Um, Something happened recently, especially in the field of sports. We have a lot of Nigerians, our brothers, even our sisters, who are doing very well, pretty very well in countries, contributing to that country and also contributing to their own country of origin. You know, recently you saw the African Best Player of the Year, Ademola Lookman. You know, the parents, I learned that the parents are migrants in the US and he was born there, but he comes to Nigeria to play football. And he also plays for other countries. You know, that's a very good example of what migrants can do. That is in the sports. We also have a lot of people in different industries, like in the medical sector. I have seen some persons who have not been in this country, but they were called to come and serve in Nigeria. You know, maybe during different leadership, you know, they came and contributed to their quotas, you know, in Nigeria. So migrants are doing a lot, and we have a lot of very good examples, even though we need to still have more examples, but we have examples that are already existing of people who have done so well and they have come back to contribute.
Over time, there have been misconceptions about, especially about persons who leave the country. Better put jackpot to all beautiful, amazing countries which you feel you go there for greener pastures. For instance, when you hear that somebody is abroad, you feel that, oh, the person is doing well, the person has a lot of money, and it will interest you to know that at some point or the other, some of those persons are not financially strong. And you have cases where persons have to call your parents back home or call your parents back home. Can you help me out with some money? And then you're shocked. So let's misconceptions right now about migration.
Yes, those are kind of they are cases that are being actually handled now in terms of providing some informations to potential migrants, because some people are being deceived, you know, with this as if phantom belief that the grass is actually greener over there. When they get there, they find out that they are not able to meet up with what they were told, you know, and they get stranded. They are not even able to survive anymore. They start begging. We have a lot of them like you said, who, but this as a result of misinformation. They didn't have enough information, and so they lacked the necessary skills to meet up with the expectations in that country. And those are the gaps I feel that migration management will begin to address in Nigeria, whereby people will be able to be provided with the right job, so that when you leave this country to that country, you will be able to get a place where you can work and study. Most people who get stranded like that are people who don't have the required skills, the required information. Just like when I was also trying to leave at that time, I was not leaving to go there and go and work in a company or there. I was just going based on the fact that I was told that once you get to Europe, you can see job anywhere on the street, and you can imagine getting to Europe and you didn't see that job on the street. You get stranded and you start begging. You start looking for a way of escape, and you are not protected. You don't have any identification. These are issues that people are being they are not aware of, because of the wrong information they get within, and also because of the fact that there is a push factor, and the other push factor need to be also be treated, in the sense that what are those things that are making people not even find out what is happening over there? Rather, they want to leave at all cost. It has to be treated. Why will somebody leave without going through the proper channel? Why leave just because you don't have a job? There is a high rate of poverty, and you decide to leave without knowing the kind of skills that are available in those countries. These are things that we need to begin to handle.
Are there other challenges that migrants face in their destination countries?
So much challenges. That's what I'm telling you. For regular migrants who go there, as a result of their profession, as a result of deals, yes, they may not have so much challenge. Those who go there without enough information. So for those who go there and have acquired all the necessary information, have gotten all the necessary, and they have gotten their jobs there, they will face less stress. Most of the stress they may face is kind of change of weather, trying to access, those are very, those are challenges that, yes, they know that, okay, before we can move from Africa to Europe or America or Canada, we need to move to another weather and all this. Those are just minor challenges, trying to adapt to the system. But for those who don't have enough information that move, they're going to face a lot of problems, because most times if their status are not adequate, maybe they have a very a questionable status, as a migrant, they're going to face a lot of security issues. They are going to face a lot of restrictions in terms of movement. They may not be able to access facilities, like social amenities, even health facilities. They may not be able to access it. These are the things that, information that needs to be provided for potential migrants.
Now, do you think some of these challenges have been handled well? Because I'd love us to dwell a little bit on the health factor and the health challenges, because over time in the news, we've seen Nigerians who travel abroad to greener pastures. After a month, you hear that they're dead, or you hear, oh, I have this mental health situation, I can't think properly due to being all alone or not having, the strength to really truly push. Do you think it's really handled well?
Yeah, the truth there is that once your status is not regular, have access to health facilities, you are restricted. Because like I told you, I work very closely with migrants who were rejected, and that's kind of asylum seekers. Most people who have traveled from Nigeria, they want to go to Europe, to start work, and after some years, they are rejected asylum. They cannot access anything, especially the health. I've even come in contact with them in Europe, in a center where they are, some of them, and they have told me, I see some very serious situations whereby but that intervention is just an emergency intervention, maybe in a case where the person is dying or about to die, or very emergency situation. There could be this kind of support, but you don't have a long-term support. So it's a very big issue. So for migrants whose status are questionable, like I said, and I keep on saying it, when I mean questionable, maybe I need to use the migrants whose status are irregular. They have not been accepted in the country, they are undocumented, you don't have access to facilities. And it's a big issue. Now, I think from the question you asked, I think we should begin to look at, okay, how can countries begin to reduce the will I call it the regulations in terms of providing assistance to migrants, whether their status is regular or irregular. They can be, their cases can be looked into. Of them have mental issues. A lot of them, as a result of loneliness, as a result of restriction, when the expectations were so high, you were living, and you get there, all of a sudden, you could not access what you are supposed to access. It can affect, and when you are told that, okay, you are coming to Europe, you want to come and work, you want to come and get euros or dollars, all of a sudden they said, no, you're going to return back to your, it has an adverse effect on the person. Is that I feel that countries should begin to look into to see how migrant rights can be respected,
Right.
in terms of accessing medical facilities, health facilities that can help them. Even if they are going to return back to their country, they will still be useful to their country, because most people that have been returned back to Nigeria, times they are back, at the end of the day, they are very unuseful. They come back drugged, some are returned back, dehumanized, some are returned back their memory, they have lost their irrespective of whatever, their right to be respected.
Indeed, their rights needs to be respected. But moving forward, we're going to be looking at some of the policy changes, that needs to be done to ensure that their rights are being protected, especially of the migrants and the refugees as well. So what of those policy changes should be implemented as soon as possible?
Well, in terms of policy, thank you for this question. Recently, the Nigerian side have reviewed the national migration policy to ensure that, particularly when it comes to the rights of migrants and also management of migration in Nigeria, to ensure that everybody is involved. Everybody is involved. They're using migration management, a whole of government, a whole of society. A whole of government, a whole of society. Holistic approach to ensure that both government and the people are part of the process, and at the end of the day, it gives it what, in terms of management of migration. So policies now in Nigeria providing a whole lot of protection, a whole lot of human kind of, from the human angle point of view, whereby migrants are being seen. We have this slogan we use. They say migrants are human. No human is illegal. Before we used to use illegal migrants, and after some time, a lot of controversy, discussion said no human is illegal. It's only their status. So the policies are being reviewed now to ensure that the issue of in every aspect of has to involve migrant in terms of both remittance, both pathway, which is, like I tell people, to ensure that migrants are also well protected, is to introduce potential regular pathway. When I mean regular pathway, let them know what countries require to move. Because a lot of people think that regular pathway is just getting a visa, maybe visiting visa or tourist visa, you go to country, and your intention is to go and stay in that country. But when you get there, once the tourist visa, your status changes. Once the visiting visa expires, your status changes. But when we begin to look at it from the regular pathway point of view, and see that Nigerians are now prepared, to require skills that is also needed in other countries. I think the policy is also looking at all these things, where we call it skills, where Nigerians can begin to get are employable.
Right. So, as
So,
it tends to cost home, children, especially in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's our migration in is for me is high. Movement is going to be high, you know, until we begin to issue of the push factor. People will continue to leave this country until we continue to create in this country, more employ youths, employ our youngest. People will continue to leave this country until we continue our large number of graduates that have been that school study NYC, opportunities for them, you know, not just opportunities for themselves, because not everybody have this capacity to start themselves. You know, it takes time. It takes a lot of process.
It takes a long time and just plenty of things to do right now. And the government of the day really needs to, do more on this. Speaking to Comrade Osemene, he is the Executive Director, Patriotic Citizen Initiative. Thank you so much for gracing the studio this morning.